Shelly asked me to talk about some like upgrades to the home medicine cabinet or some swap outs in terms of talking about herbalism to replace things we might buy over the counter. And I have a little caveat about that before we dive in, which is like in the world of herbal medicine and herbalism and how we relate to health, there's a little bit of a paradigm shift because we're more interested in like health as a whole and our whole body and the state of health that we're in. And herbs aren't like a one for one switch. It's not just like, oh, here, instead of Sudafed, take this herb and it's exactly the same. It doesn't work the same in your body. The dosing is not the same. And I think what herbs really excel at is supporting your body in doing what it naturally is already trying to do. And that can be in opposition to over-the-counter meds, which sometimes are just kind of turning something off. Let's just suppress your symptoms. In herbalism, we're thinking more about not really so much suppressing symptoms. We're thinking about what's the root cause of this issue that we want to treat.
Everybody, welcome back to Homestead HQ, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. I am Shelly.
I'm Jason, and today we've got Leslie with the School of Earth and All. And usually this is where I talk about VacMaster, one of our sponsors for the show. But Shelly is like jumping up and down excited because she got to use hers yesterday, and that she's going to talk about it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in kind of our homestead happenings, because all three of us spent Saturday together from pretty much all day Saturday. So Shelly, tell them about VacMaster.
So yeah, Jason and Bill, in case you're watching, I have unboxed my VacMaster. I did a video and I will be putting that out. But VacMaster Fresh is one of our sponsors. If you go to vacmasterfresh.com and order, it started on Black Friday and it goes till Cyber Monday. So Jason, is this going out today or tomorrow?
It will go out on, it'll go out Monday morning.
Early Monday morning. You'll still have all day Monday. They're having a sale right now. Every one of their chamber sealers are 15% off. And their bags they have different discounts for different bags. So it's up to 15% off for their bags. Y'all need one of these. Seriously. We processed a big hog this weekend and had almost 400 pounds of meat, and it cut that time in half that you would have to, like with a vacuum sealer, cutting the bag, sealing the bag, filling the bag, all of that stuff. It was amazing how quickly it went with the VacMaster 220 that I have. So go check out vacmasterfresh.com. Like I said, Cyber Monday, they got a 15% off sale. And if you use code Homestead, you can get an additional 15% off. So that's 30% off the price of your chamber sealer. Go check it out. You need one of these things.
And they've also, I just now looked, they got free shipping on $150 or more purchases.
Yep.
So,
I think they have that a lot, though. I think that's kind of like a standard thing for them. Yeah.
They do. So, guys, go check out vacmasterfresh.com. Save you some money on it. Those are an awesome machine. They've also got their butchering knives, too. And then we'll hit, I don't want to forget, Signature Solar. Go to signaturesolar.com. Use the code Homestead to save you some money on that order. I've got some stuff we're putting together in order. We're going to do some solar projects here at my place that I'm kind of excited about. And then also go check out the video. They sent me an Anchor 3800 solar generator with panels. I did a video on it the other day. That thing is a beast of a solar generator. It can run a lot of stuff in your house. I know I ran a full-size air compressor, my commercial refrigerator, a meat grinder, and then 2 saws with it all at once, and it barely even took any energy out of that thing. So go check out signaturesolar.com. Use the code Homestead to save you some money. So we all spent yesterday together learning some stuff and having fun. Shelly, tell everybody what we did.
We processed a 600-pound hog out here at my place. And it's the biggest pig that we have ever done. We ended up with 361 pounds of usable meat. About 140 of that was sausage. We had about 95 pounds of lard, and that's like the back fat and the leaf lard that you get. What else? God, we had probably, I'm gonna say 20. No, on one, yeah, well, 25 or 30 pork chops.
Some of the biggest pork chops ever.
Yeah.
They were cut.
And there were 57 pounds of pork belly.
Yeah.
Like it's normal for a normal size hog, or, you know, like 250 pounds, you know, you get butchered. You'll have roughly about 22 pounds of pork belly. Is that 22 pounds on each side or 22 pounds total?
Total.
That's what I thought. 22 pounds total. She had 47 pounds. No, I'm sorry. 57 pounds of bacon is what we got. 57 pounds of bacon.
Oh, yeah.
She was a big hog. And Randy and I butchered her. We killed her and gutted her on Friday night and hung her up in our barn, cut her in half, and then wrapped her up with a tarp. And, you know, because it was really cold. Right now is ideal hog butchering weather. And when it's cold like this, you can leave them out to hang, just like people do deer and stuff like that. So we wrapped her up in the barn, and no joke, the winch was all the way up to the rafter in our barn. And she when she was hanging up before we cut the head off, her snout was on the floor. It was all the way from the rafter in the barn all the way to the floor. And she looked like beef hanging in the barn. She was huge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The pork chops, and why I said they were some of the prettiest pork chops that were around, Leslie cut one side. I showed her how to cut the loin out and showed her how to cut the pork chops. Leslie, you did an amazing job on that.
Thanks.
I'm serious. Randy did get on it. He's like, cut some of those just a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Leslie, you did. Tell us what you thought. You had never done anything like that before, had you?
No, I've only processed chicken. So this was my first large animal, and it was a great experience. I'm so happy to get to learn that skill and just getting up close and getting my hands on it, and all of y'all like taking time to explain everything to me. So definitely walked away from that really happy. Yeah.
It's not as a daunting experience as what some people make it out to be, is it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And, you know, one of the things that I really like about it is what a community effort it is, you know, watching all those steps and realizing you literally could not do this by yourself. You have to have people helping you. And I think that's something that I, you know, like miss and long for. And part of like what I do in the herbal world too is like try to create communities like that, like how my ancestors would have been, you know, because I know my great granny, they raised pigs, they processed them, and it got lost and nobody taught me how. But, you know, knowing they had that community around them, and like so many of us don't have that, but these things that force us to come together are so crucial and important. And it's so, I think, so good to be connected to our food and everything we, you know, as a community, that we're coming together to meet our own basic needs is just a really fulfilling thing.
Oh, yeah. And I could tell a couple times, like, especially when I showed you after we cut the loin section off, I spun it around for you. And it's like, hey, here's kind of, if this was a beef, this is your T-bone, kind of stuff like that. It's kind of cool to show people that firsthand, because a lot of people have only seen pork chops sitting, you know, underneath plastic. They hadn't seen the whole thing. And I explained to you, you know, your St. Louis ribs and your baby back ribs.
Right.
And stuff like that. And I enjoy showing people how to do that. And it's like, these are where your St. Louis ribs come from. These are your baby backs. And this is how you do all of it. And I just absolutely love teaching people stuff like that. Yeah,
we should all know it.
And I like showing them that it's not such a daunting task to do.
Yeah.
That. It takes a time commitment is what it does. I mean, you're not going to be done in an hour. It's going to be a full day process doing this. But yeah, I had a good time, and I'm finally warm again. It was cold.
It was very cold.
So
It was
that,
really
and I was wiped out. I got home, took a shower, and Lincoln was like, "Dad, will you come in the basement and play with me?" And I was like, "Yes." I sat down on the couch, and he came over and hit me. He's like, "You've been asleep for like 20 minutes." I was like, "Sorry about that." I was like, "I got to get up." So I got up, but I was in bed early last night. That's for sure.
Me too. Yep.
So, but yeah, that's what we did yesterday. We killed a pig and put it in the freezer and provided a lot of food for a lot of people. And it was a good experience teaching people and having a good time with that. So, but Leslie's not here to talk about how awesome a Saturday she had. She's here to talk about some herbal stuff. Leslie, you and Shelly kind of coordinated on what you were going to talk about. Tell everybody what you wanted to talk about today as far as the herbal remedies and stuff like that. And I'll sit back and listen.
Yeah, so Shelly asked me to talk about some like upgrades to the home medicine cabinet or some swap outs in terms of talking about herbalism to replace things we might buy over the counter. And I have a little caveat about that before we dive in, which is like in the world of herbal medicine and herbalism and how we relate to health, there's a little bit of a paradigm shift because we're more interested in like health as a whole and our whole body and the state of health that we're in. And, you know, herbs aren't like a 1-for-1 switch. It's not just like, oh, here, instead of Sudafed, take this herb and it's exactly the same. It doesn't work the same in your body. The dosing is not the same. And I think what herbs really excel at is supporting your body in doing what it naturally is already trying to do. And that can be in opposition to over-the-counter meds, which sometimes are just kind of turning something off. Let's just suppress your symptoms. In herbalism, we're thinking more about not really so much suppressing symptoms. We're thinking about what's the root cause of this issue that we want to treat, and how are we going to get there in a lasting way, not just to mask it for the next 5 minutes or 30 minutes or 2 hours. And so that said, like, if you don't have what I call your 5 foundations in order, like in your life and in your health, then you're probably not going to see a lot of benefit from a lot of natural remedies, a lot of herbalism practices. And those 5 foundations, just briefly to go over, are paying attention to your hydration and the kind of water you drink, right? So filtered water, spring water, high quality well water, making sure you're getting the minerals back in your water if you filter it. Earth would be like the food you eat. So, you know, no processed, cutting out the processed food, cutting out the processed sugar, focusing on whole, local, seasonal fruits and vegetables, locally raised meats, things like that. And then your breath, your breathing, the air that you're breathing. So the quality of the air and also how you're breathing, which I've talked about before. And then your sunlight exposure. And this is crucial because you have a master clock in your brain, and every cell in your body has a master clock, and it regulates your hormones, your neurotransmitters, all those things based on the time of day. And so if you're never outside allowing that light to get into your photoreceptors, then your signaling's off. And, you know, that in and of itself can heal a lot of things. And then the final one is space. And that just means like your stress levels. You know, are you in these high stress environments that aren't good for you? Or are you taking time to do some stress regulation in your life? And like once you have all that set up, then you're going to see a much bigger benefit from the herbs that we're about to talk about than if you're just kind of like living, you know, watching TV all day, staying inside all day, under fluorescent lights all day, eating McDonald's for every meal. Like that's not going to lead towards optimal health, which we all know. But I just want to say that before I dive in, because it's not like there's not like a magic pill. That being said, a lot of these over-the-counter drugs, you know, can cause side effects. And if you're just suppressing your body's natural mechanisms, like that's not very healthy, right? So for example, like when you're sick and you have a fever, that's actually your immune system trying to kill the pathogens and trying to do its job. And if you, at the first sign of a low fever, if you immediately just stop the fever by taking Tylenol, then now like your immune, you've just said, no, please don't kill these pathogens.
Yeah.
Your body is like, what? I'm trying to help you. And you're like, no, because that's uncomfortable. So stop. So it takes a little bit of a paradigm shift to start to understand, like, our bodies are not trying to hurt us. They're trying to do what they are designed to do, perfectly designed to do. And we can support them. So like, what's one of the most common things you keep in your medicine cabinet?
I would say Tylenol or ibuprofen.
Yeah. So with painkillers, there's a lot of herbs that act as anti-inflammatories, painkillers, fever reducers, and different people kind of have a different response to different herbs. So you might have to try a few and see what works for you, because it really is individual. But, turmeric and ginger are very powerful anti-inflammatories, and they're synergistic. So they work together. So meaning like, you could make a turmeric or ginger tea. You could have an extract. Make sure if you're getting turmeric that you get an extract that has fat in it, or that you take it with fat, because the constituents that have those properties are fat soluble. But that's a really simple switch out to try a ginger and turmeric preparation. If your pain though is more like nerve pain, then you could look at like California poppy tincture, even skullcap or passion flower tinctures. And then there are 2 herbs that contain the same constituents that aspirin was derived from. And those are willow bark and meadowsweet. So a lot of people find relief from that. I mean, there's a list that goes on forever. Like, a lot of people use wild lettuce tincture as pain relief. If you get migraines, feverfew is a really helpful one. But, it's not like a 1-for-1 switch, because it kind of depends. You can ask yourself, like, what is my pain from? If it's inflammation, then have you drank enough water? Have you been outside? Because sunlight also signals to reduce inflammation in your body. But then beyond that, you can try some of these, versus if it's nerve pain, then that's a different thing going on. So just a few things to think about and have on hand, and try, maybe see how it works for you. And, always look up contraindications. If you're also on pharmaceuticals for any of these things I'm going to talk about, look up if there are contraindications with what you're already taking, because especially with like some of these anti-inflammatories that thin the blood, if you're on blood thinning medications and then you also start taking a bunch of blood thinning herbs in super high doses, then you might have a problem if you get injured and your blood won't clot.
Yeah.
So really pay attention to that too. Let's see, what else?
I got a question real quick, Leslie. When you said about being out in the sun and getting sun exposure, I've seen some people say don't wear sunglasses.
Yeah, that's true.
It messes with your eyes. What is that? Is there any truth in that, or what? Because I'm horrible about wearing sunglasses.
So this is the same thing for sunglasses or regular glasses or even sunscreen, that the photoreceptors in your eyes and on your skin need direct contact with the light. This doesn't mean stare at the sun. You don't even have to be able to see the sun. It can be cloudy, but the light, the radiant light outside, when it touches your skin, your bare skin or your bare eyes. So if you wear glasses, you like pull them down, take out your contacts. That's where the signaling happens. If you're wearing sunglasses or even regular glasses, the full spectrum of light can't get through those lenses, right? So it's unable to detect this is what time it is, basically. This is what season it is. And the photoreceptors in your skin can get blocked out, covered in sunscreen. So, if you're a person who burns easily, I'm not talking about you have to go out at high noon in the summer for 3 hours. I'm talking about like, you literally can go outside for 5 minutes at sunrise, and then 5, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes in the middle of the day, just a few minutes here and there will make a big difference, because you're still receiving that signaling And it has a cumulative effect too. So,
Right.
but yeah, sunglasses are going to block those signals.
I've been reading, so for quite a few years, I've been on a statin drug, and I keep telling my doctor that, and I've never had a heart attack. I don't have any heart issues or anything like that. And my my cholesterol level is not even that high. And, so I've been telling my doctor that I wanted to quit taking it, and he's like, no, you're going to be on this for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And so I've been researching this and everything. And I'm not saying this to tell people to stop taking their statins. I mean, this is for me, make your own choices, do your own research kind of thing. But I read this book called Cholesterol Myth. And oh my God, it is absolutely eye-opening about how, the drug companies, how they marketed this stuff. It's almost like the, what is that, Oxycontin or whatever that company came out with, and how that was marketed and destroyed so many people's lives and all that kind of thing. But one of the things that book was talking about is how there's so many people out there that have low their vitamin D deficiencies, and magnesium. And if you don't have those in your body, which we get it from sunlight, right?
Yes.
If you don't have that in your body, then all of these things, but more than likely the tinctures that you're talking about, or the herbs that you're talking about, or supplements that people take, or whatever to try to be healthier, if you don't have that right level of vitamin D in your body, your body won't even process that stuff. It won't even pull the nutrients out of whatever you're trying to take, or whatever you're trying to supplement with, or whatever. You have to have vitamin D, and that comes from the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest place to get it from. So when you guys started talking about that at the festival, when we had that panel and all, when you were the one that talked about wearing sunglasses, and if you went out and just watched the sun come up, it triggers something in your brain for your body to start producing the things to digest food correctly and all. And I was sitting there going, what? I mean, it was that aha moment for me that just blew my mind. I thought, that is insane. And it makes total sense. I mean, we try to fix things with all of these chemical things, and we don't need it. We just need what, is created for us to do what we need to do.
It's true. And if you think about it, and I'm always coming back to, like, what did my ancestors do? What was it like? Because they were so healthy. I have a great grandmother who lived to 104, but her whole life was running her farm. Like, that's what she did. She was outside. They only ate what they raised. Like, why did she live so long with no issues? It's because of the natural way of living. Like, of course they were outside at sunrise, feeding the animals and doing whatever they had to do. And so, the thing, I think this leads into another myth about, like, that you can just supplement vitamin D or supplement whatever you're missing. People don't understand that there's, like, an intricate balance of vitamins and minerals. So for example, if your magnesium levels are off, then it doesn't matter how much vitamin D you take, your body won't be able to use it.
Right.
And that's true for so many other vitamins and minerals. You can't just supplement your way out of health and well-being. Right. And so, like, that's the whole point. And I think that if people really did change their lifestyles, even in reasonable ways, I don't even mean you have to, like, cut out every single thing, I'm all about balance, but just adding a few little habits, you probably don't even need a lot of the stuff in your medicine cabinet, And so, like, to me, why wouldn't you do that first?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, what? Now that we went down the sunglasses rabbit hole, we're good about rabbit holes, aren't we, Shelley?
Sure.
What's some other stuff? I know, like, everybody keeps Tums.
Oh yeah. So then this is okay. We can talk about all the little, like, the Tums, the Pepto-Bismol, the Imodium. This is all related to our gut health. So sunlight also signals that. So get sunlight, but also eat fermented foods. Like, work on your gut microbiome and get all the good bacteria in balance there. the more processed foods you eat, like the less likely you are to have a healthy gut. It's hard for your body to process those. If you're on a ton of pharmaceuticals, then that can destroy your gut lining. So, you have to look at what's going on. But then there are things you can do. If you're prone to heartburn, for example, any bitters, like herbal bitters, are excellent for heartburn. So things like dandelion root, burdock root, those things. And also don't eat 3 hours before bed. Most people I know with awful heartburn at night, when I tell them this and they shift it and they don't eat, they stop eating at least 3 hours before bed, hopefully maybe even 4, they suddenly don't have problems anymore, right?
That's
so
one of the
sometimes
things that you said at the festival, that you're not supposed to eat after the sun goes down, because again, the sun is triggering, your body doesn't create all that stuff that it needs to digest food. And that's why people have weight gain issues and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And by the time the sun starts going down, your brain is like, oh, it's time to release melatonin. We're getting ready for sleep. It's not saying, hey, let's start digesting. It's already preparing for sleep. And so definitely like following the natural sunlight, following the seasons. And in winter, that can be hard. I'm eating dinner at like 4:30, but whatever, it makes me feel good. So it's kind of worth it. But you can also look at things like herbs that have mucilaginous properties. So, when you eat okra and it's slimy, that's mucilage. So like marshmallow root powder and slippery elm bark powder have that. And it's really soothing for irritated and inflamed guts. And that's one that we keep on hand all the time because nobody's perfect. So you're going to eat that thing. We ate Indian food the other night, for the first time in forever, and all that heat. And I'm just like, oh, so immediately I'm going to make a tea with my slippery elm bark root powder. And just a side note, don't get tinctures of those because alcohol destroys mucilage, but you can just have the tea on hand for some relief with that.
So is that, if somebody wanted to make that, so you would get the slippery elm bark and dehydrate it or something and just turn it into a powder?
Most of the time when I see it sold, if you're going to order it, it's already powdered.
Okay.
I've harvested, because there's slippery elm everywhere. I found a downed branch off of a slippery elm tree that looked like it just fallen that day. And so I just let it dry in my like mesh drying rack.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep it in little pieces of bark, and you can like boil that up to make tea, or I could powder it if I wanted to. I just haven't yet. Also marshmallow root, you can grow marshmallow here. Harvest the root, dry it, powder it. Yep.
Very cool. Okay.
Yep. And then about the Imodium, like diarrhea is your body trying to get rid of something. So you don't actually want to stop that right when it starts. That means there's some bacteria or something in there and it needs to go. And so it's actually pretty smart to let that happen for around 2 or 3 days at least. You got to keep hydrating though. And then ultimately, if it seems like it's lasting forever, then thinking about some of the astringent herbs, the one I've seen used the most is like an oak leaf and oak bark tincture. Even using the water that you leach off of acorns when you're making acorn flour, that water is really high in tannins. So anything that's super drying and astringent can kind of help with that. There's also some yoga poses, some stretches you can do because of how your colon is. Your ascending colon is on the right, and then you have your transverse colon. Your descending colon goes down on the left. And if you put pressure on that left side of your colon first for a long enough time, it starts to stop things from moving. Just like if you're constipated and you twist to the right and put pressure on that right side, right? So there's like simple little things, the ways you can move your body that kind of help.
Wow. Okay.
Or just don't eat the tuna fish from the gas station.
Yeah, that'll do you. Okay, the other one that I see that I actually, this is the one most requested by people, is allergy medicine, right?
Yeah.
So people who have seasonal allergies, uh, fresh stinging nettle is an antihistamine and it's phenomenal. Now you can't get dried stinging nettle and then tincture that because all those constituents are gone, but it has to be fresh. Stinging nettle is like the cultivated nettle, but also the wild nettles have it. So around me, I have heartleaf nettle and Canadian wood nettle, and I've tinctured those all fresh, and they have the same effect as stinging nettle, which most people would either grow in the garden, or if you move somewhere where somebody already cultivated it, it could still be sticking around, but it's not going to be like out in the woods. And so that's really good as a tincture.
So does that kind of thing work? You said seasonal allergies, because I kind of think that when you're allergic to stuff outside, like hay fever, whatever you want to call that, there's probably things like fresh stinging nettle that will counteract that. It kind of always works that way. But like when you were here yesterday, we have 2 cats in the house, and I'm allergic to cats. And I love my cats. And so I take allergy medicine to deal with my cats. And it's funny because I never let my kids have cats when they were younger. And I'm like, I'm not taking medicine to deal with an animal in my house, but here I am killing it.
Now
right?
you're doing it. Yeah.
So, and they remind me of that all the time, let me tell you. But
I'm sure.
does something like that, if I made fresh stinging nettle tincture, would that help with my cat allergies as well?
It would, and so would your goldenrod that you already have. So
right.
goldenrod also has antihistamine properties. So whenever I make an allergy blend, I usually do a fresh nettle, I add goldenrod, I add yarrow, and then in the springtime, I really love purple dead nettle. It's really nice for allergies. And in the fall, you can tincture the leaves of ragweed before it blooms, and it actually is like its own medicine, because most people who are allergic to ragweed pollen, ragweed helps. But that's true for pet allergies. That's true for any sort of histamine attack, when sometimes your skin like breaks out in hives because of some exposure. It's antihistamine. So regardless of the cause of your allergy, it can be pretty effective. Now, the dose is not just take it once. In a histamine attack, your dose is like 1 or 2 droppers full every 5 to 10 minutes until it subsides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is true a lot of times for acute dosing. This is true for your pain-killing herbs, right? If you're treating a headache, it's not just take 1 dose. You're treating it in a different way. And then you stop dosing once the symptoms start to subside. So,
Yeah.
But if I have a continuous allergy, I could do like a maintenance dose every
exactly.
morning. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Or
Right.
if a couple times a day. The maintenance dose would be at least twice a day. For some people, 3 times a day. It just depends.
Okay.
And then if you want to like work on healing your immune systems, because it's your immune system that's like responding, on the long term, you can actually reduce your allergies overall by taking immunomodulating herbs like reishi mushroom and astragalus root on a daily basis, but it can take like a year to start working. But over time, it completely does. Because when I moved back to Tennessee, I had allergies for the first time. Like growing up here, I didn't have allergies, left for 12 years, came back, awful allergies, so bad that it was like keeping me at home. And I did the reishi and astragalus, and by the next year, it was much better. And by the next year, it was so much better.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I noticed one of the biggest things that's helped with our cat is I got an air purifier.
Yep.
And we actually we bought the air purifier, plugged it in, and I couldn't tell like a big difference from before and after, but it was just running. And then we bought a new sectional for our living room. And so we were moving furniture and everything. The air purifier got unplugged, and I hadn't figured out like where I wanted to set it, where had moved our furniture around, and it was unplugged for about a week. And my eyes started burning. Like it didn't matter if I was taking allergy meds. It was like I was miserable. And I told Randy, I said, we need to plug that thing back in. I think that is what was helping me. Yes. And sure enough, it was plugged back in for a day, and all of those symptoms subsided. So
Yep.
like where you're talking about your 5 foundations, your air quality, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. We keep an air purifier going all the time. And when the filters, if I miss the little filter light and it's like gone, I will notice it for sure.
Yeah.
So
Now this with the allergy relief with the herbal stuff, it's not going to knock you out like Benadryl does.
Oh no, it has no sedative properties. Yeah.
Yeah, because now I've noticed when I was younger, when I was 18 and stuff, allergy season, I was popping Benadryl like they were Tic Tacs. I mean, I was just popping 4 or 5 of those things a day because my nose would constantly run, eyes and everything. And now my allergies have gotten better to where I really don't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I can take one Benadryl and I'm knocked out in 10 minutes. It's like it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. None of these will do that. But, there are herbs that will knock you out. So we can segue into sleep remedies because a lot of people take sleeping pills. And
definitely, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So valerian root is one that works really well for some people. Now, there's a little side note here because maybe in like 10% of the people, it actually like hypes them up. They get more excited. So you have to give it a little test run on a night when you're not really needing to get up early and be productive the next day. But valerian root can be really helpful. And then a lot of the nervine herbs like passion flower. Passion flower is really good if you're one of those people who can't sleep because your brain is racing. That's me. If I wake up in the middle of the night and get to thinking too hard, I'm done for. It's going to be hours.
Yep.
That's one of the tinctures that I made at your herbal class that we came to. And that helps me. Well, again, I mean, research. I read this study because I kept melatonin. I still have melatonin here at the house. And I read this study that they think that melatonin is linked to Alzheimer's. And I'm just like, oh my God, everything, right?
Yeah.
But I saw one of the girls that's in our group that was at your class, Mary Beth. She was making all of her little bottles of passion flower. And she had a picture on Facebook and how it was her sleep aid and everything. And it just helps her get a really restful night's sleep and everything. And I was like, I made that at Leslie's class. I can go do that. And I started using it. And oh my gosh, it works so good. It works better than the melatonin work. Yeah. I really like that stuff.
I do too. And it's like gentle. And, for me, it's not even so sedative that I can't take it during the day too. If I have like extra stress that day, I can also take a dose of passion flower. It just feels like it takes the edge off a little bit. Skullcap is another one that's really nice. California poppy is really nice. A lot of people like hops at night to help them sleep. So not as a beer, but as a tincture.
Liquid form.
Now, if it was like a pure, traditionally made hops beer without all the other stuff in it, and then probably that'd be fine. But nobody makes it like that anymore. And then what else was I just gonna say? And check out your light environment at night, because if you have a lot of lights on in the house, or the TV on, or lights coming under the door, or lights on outside shining through the window, it's triggering your brain to not remember that it's nighttime, right? So like blackout curtains or a sleep mask, or just making sure that it's actually dark in your room can be an absolute game changer for some people. So
I've noticed when I can go to bed and be just dog tired, ready to go to sleep, and if I lay down in the bed and I've got this in my hand, and I start looking at anything, it's like an hour later and I am wide awake, and that whole process of it felt like my brain shutting down, like that's gone. Now I'm not going to bed till like midnight, because even if I put the phone down, I just lay there awake, because it's like it restarts something in my brain, and it just messes everything up.
Well, you know why? Because the blue light coming out of your phone is the same like brightness and intensity as high noon in the middle of summer. So whenever you stare at your phone screen, that's the signaling you're giving your brain. So I keep my phone in red light mode. And depending on what kind of phone you have, do you have an iPhone?
Yep.
You have to go under settings. Let's see if I can remember it.
Is dark mode any better?
It's better than regular, but it's still got a little blue light.
So would it be under display
under
and
settings?
brightness?
It's actually under accessibility.
Accessibility.
Okay. And then let's see if I can find it.
Display and text, maybe?
Yeah, display and text, and then color filters. And then you turn color filters on, and it lets you slide the little color tint bar all the way to the right, all the way to the red light.
Oh, wow. Look at it.
So that helps. I turn that on red light at sunset every single day, and I don't turn it back on blue light until like at least an hour after sunrise.
Do I need to turn it back?
Only if you ever need to see colors. Like sometimes I need to see a photo or a...
Oh, wow. Like I can't see the numbers of how many emails I have.
Right.
I don't know that that's a bad thing either.
Yeah, that might be good. That might help your stress level.
That's really cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I've got 687 unread emails.
Oh, that would stress me out.
You probably don't need to see them either.
Yeah, maybe you should put your phone on red light.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, y'all want to talk about like colds and flus and congestion medicines for a second?
That would be very relevant right now.
Yeah. Yes. It's what they call sick season, but you know, as we talked about on that health panel, it's sugar season. It's processed
that
food
was another
season.
big eye opener for me too.
Nope.
It
goes
makes total
from
sense.
Halloween candy to Thanksgiving pies to all the holiday parties in the world, and then Christmas and Christmas candy, and then New Year's. So like, hello, alcohol and sugar and just totally off your normal situation. And you're busy, and a lot of people are stressed because there's so much to do and things to get done and so much money to spend and all that stuff. So it's just like a nightmare of a soup. But doing things preventatively are nice for all that. So especially this time of year, drink a lot of herbal teas because then you're getting your vitamins and minerals, right? Eat well whenever you don't have to be somewhere. Like, I'm not saying you should opt out of Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Do it. But like in the between times, try to get your good whole foods. You can take your fire cider every day as preventative. You can do your elderberry syrup preventatively every day. Get outside every day. Move your body every day. All these things are really going to help you and strengthen your system as a whole. But then like once you do start to get sick, I actually love the elder plant because the flower and the berry have like slightly different medicines, but it kind of covers a lot of stuff. So between those two, we get antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, fever reducers, respiratory support. All these things are between the two parts of that plant. So I like to often combine, like I'll put some elderflower tincture in with my elderberry tincture. Sometimes I mix elderberry tincture with elderberry syrup and elderflower. Yarrow is another nice one because it's mildly antibiotic, mildly antiviral. It's also can help support fevers. And then,
isn't yarrow also one of those things that if you have the actual plant, it'll stop blood? Like it'll clot blood.
It's a styptic. Yeah, it's a styptic. So doing that topically, keeping powdered dried yarrow in your first aid kit is a great idea. But if you get into these respiratory type infections and you have all the congestion, like mullein is amazing as a tincture or a tea. The leaf, not the flower. The flower is excellent for earaches and ear infections when it's infused in an oil. Usnea lichen is very, very good for respiratory infections. It has antibacterial properties, so it's kind of like a natural antibiotic, especially if you have something going on in the lungs. Any of the mint family plants are expectorants, so they're going to help you expel all that mucus. And then if you have like sore throats or dry coughs, going back to our mucilaginous plants. So you could use your marshmallow root powder and your slippery elm bark powder that you got for your digestion issues. But that's also great for sore throats and dry coughs and things like that. If you have, I think a lot of people during a flu will get the topical body aches. Take a lot of hot baths, Epsom salt baths. Magnesium spray is excellent for that. You can make your own by ordering magnesium flakes on Amazon, and all you do is dissolve it 1-to-1 in hot water. Put it in spray balls. So easy. Yeah.
Super easy.
And I like to actually make an herbal tea and then dissolve it in a rose and lavender tea. So now I get the aroma when I'm using the magnesium spray. But that's awesome for muscle aches, and this kind of like not only for flu, but if you use Icy Hot or any of those topical pain relieving things that are all petroleum based, they're messing with the pH of your skin, all this stuff. Then look into these natural creams like arnica, St. John's wort oil, comfrey root salve. Icy Hot is made of the constituents that are found in like cayenne pepper and mint, right? So you can make your own at home. If you get cayenne pepper and mint and infuse them in oil, hello, Icy Hot. Right?
So easy.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that's what that was, because I love Icy Hot, especially when my neck hurts or my shoulder or something like that.
Yeah, because the icy is the menthol from the mint, and the hot is the capsicum from the cayenne pepper.
And cayenne pepper does all kinds of different stuff.
Oh yeah. Cayenne pepper will clear out your mucus. If you do a throat gargle with cayenne and salt water, it can like kill a lot of bacteria and help soothe the membranes. And I mean, definitely you can use your kitchen spice cabinet herbs when you're sick too. So not only the cayenne, but your thyme. Like I keep so much thyme at my house because I use it for everything. But thyme tea when you're congested, also doing a sinus steam where you put the herb and the boiled water in a bowl and then a towel over your head, and breathe it in. Excellent with thyme. Cinnamon, clove, allspice, ginger, all of these amazing herbs that are so healing have antibacterial properties, anti-inflammatory properties, respiratory support. They warm your body, so they help you like with whatever's going on. So all the seasonal spices are actually medicinal.
There have been, like, I have put in like a little crock pot or whatever, like all of those spices that you're just naming off, because they remind me of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets cold outside, I'll put them in a little crock pot, and just because it makes my house smell good.
Yeah.
But you're actually getting medicinal, like breathing that stuff in, that helps too.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, just drink that water that they were in with some honey. It's magical. It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, a lot you can do for colds and flus and congestion. Oh, coughs. Okay. This is my favorite. Cut up some onions and put them in honey and let it ferment for a week or 2 weeks. And it is nature's best cough syrup.
Is it okay? I do that with garlic.
Yeah.
Add garlic and honey. And I love that for cough syrup.
Yeah.
But I had tried the onion.
I actually, when I make mine, I do garlic, onion, ginger, and lemon all together.
Oh, wow. That's like all the big hitters right there, right?
So good. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very simple home remedy for cough syrup. Definitely better than your Robitussin.
This stuff is nasty.
Yeah.
I'd rather just take that stuff.
Yeah, it's gross.
But that's the thing going back to when you said, like, if you had diarrhea, that's your body's way of getting rid of some stuff. Yep. Coughing is another way to get rid of that. You really need to cut down. I mean, because when you're coughing up phlegm and all that stuff.
That's why you want to take the expectorant herbs first, like the mullein, because what it's doing is helping your body expel.
Okay.
It's just going to get it out quicker and more thoroughly. So you're not trying to stop from mullein is going to actually agitate and help you get it up. You can also smoke mullein leaf to help with congested lungs. So
I want to try that just for fun.
And just remember, when you're like using that expectorant, you can expect to have stuff come out. You can expect to be coughing. I mean, that's what that is. I think some people, you know, like they'll start taking that and they'll start coughing and they'll be like, this isn't helping me. Well, it is helping you because it's getting that stuff out.
Right.
You know, obviously you don't want to like cough up a lung or something, but you know, you need to realize what it's doing, just like she was talking about earlier with, you know, your body flushing stuff out through your hind end. I mean, it's doing it. There's a reason that that's happening, and you need to let it do its process.
Exactly. And so, yeah, like understanding that if you're getting help, getting all that gunk out, the quicker it gets out, the sooner you're actually going to get better and stop coughing. So it might get worse, but that's because you're on your way to getting better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. What else have you got in there?
A lot of I wrote down a lot of the first aid stuff, you know, because I think in a lot of our medicine cabinets is like the Neosporin and the burn relief and the itch cream and all that stuff. And these are actually some pretty easy swaps because so many herbalists like create these for sale, that even for people who don't want to have to make this stuff, it's really easy to find. And so like a plantain salve or a black drawing salve is going to be really awesome for stings and venomous bites, spider bites, bee stings, all that stuff, because it's pulling out whatever's in your skin. That's good for splinters. If you get glass shards stuck in your skin, any of those things have a pulling action. So that's one that I always keep stocked. Switching out Neosporin, again, another petroleum-based product, not good for you. So I make a healing salve with like calendula and yarrow and violet leaf. I mean, you can do any combination of these herbs, plantain, but any sort of herbal healing salve that's going to help with wound care, that's going to help with antibacterial properties to prevent infections. And we go through my first aid healing salve like crazy in this house. Like I keep a big jar of it in every single bathroom, and I have to make it quite a bit because we use it for everything. So it's great to have on hand. Itch cream, right? A lot of people have various things in the medicine cabinet for itches, but there's nothing better than jewelweed. A good jewelweed infused oil or a jewelweed salve, nothing is better than that to soothe any sort of itchy rashes, itchy bug bites. Great for poison ivy rashes, things like that. For burns, lavender is actually great. After you've properly treated the burn, lavender can cool, and aloe vera can actually help it heal quicker and reduce scarring, depending on the severity. Let's see, chapstick is another one. Like a lot of the chapsticks out on the market, like please do not put that near your mouth and on your skin. Like look at some of the stuff that's made of. And it's crazy to me because it messes with the pH of your skin, so it can actually make your lips more chapped. Yeah. And so I love making a tallow-based lip balm. It's so easy. You just get your tallow. You can infuse it with like calendula, but I like to mix it with beeswax and honey.
Okay, so I was going to point this out. So you brought this to me at the festival in that little box that you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
In the wintertime, my skin gets super dry. My face, everywhere. Like I'm always slathering lotion on all the time because my skin is so dry. And then yesterday we're butchering a hog and being out there in the cold and your hands are wet. And then you're constantly washing your hands because they're covered with pig fat or whatever, you know. And so I probably washed my hands 25 times yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And last night when I went to bed, my fingers were so dry that they were starting to crack. Like, and that's painful when that starts happening.
Yeah.
So this was on my mirror in my bathroom, and I got this out and I just started putting it on my fingertips and rubbing it in, and now they're fine. They're not cracked anymore. And no joke, I've been carrying it around with me, and that's why I have it with me right now. I probably put it on once an hour, you know, because they were hurting.
Mm-hmm.
So is this on the back? It says So this is whipped tallow, apply topically to soothe skin. And then on the back, it says beef tallow, calendula, lemon verbena, and lavender. Can I use this as chapstick? Because I use chapstick all the time and my lips stay chapped, just like what you're talking about.
Yep. You can use straight up tallow as chapstick. The reason that I like to add it with the beeswax is because it is a little more firm in texture, so if I keep it in my pocket, it doesn't melt as easily.
And you can put it in, because you can get those little chapstick tubes from Amazon or something. You can put it in there.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to start trying this, because I'm thinking that I'm reapplying chapstick all the time because my lips are just dry and chapped, but I'm probably making them more chapped by reapplying all the chapstick.
Yeah, probably.
All right, I'll keep you updated. I'll let you all know.
Awesome. Sounds good.
I bet it tastes good with the beeswax and the honey in there.
Oh, sometimes you're like licking it off your lips with the honey because you're like,
right. But as far as like if you deal with chapped skin in the wintertime, this is amazing. This stuff, they were cracked open and bleeding this morning and they're not anymore. So
yeah, beef tallow would be my replacement for almost anything relating to your skin. Face cream, it is just by itself, it is so healing, and it has so many vitamins, and it matches the pH of our skin perfectly. And then when you can infuse it with medicinal herbs, you're just upping the ante. So
right. Okay, wonderful.
Let's see. The other thing I have written down is multivitamins. And that's because I hate seeing how much money people waste on a lot of this stuff at the grocery store, where you look at the vitamin and you look at the fillers, and some of the ingredients are stuff that can destroy your gut lining. Some of them can line your gut so that you can't actually absorb anything. A lot of the forms that the vitamins are in, they're synthetic. They're not bioavailable, meaning your body can't actually use a lot of it. I was reading some study on some brand of vitamin C, and they were saying it's about 90% that you pee it out and 10% was staying in your body. So then what do? Well, my answer to this is herbal infused vinegars, because apple cider vinegar, has this amazing way of pulling out vitamins and minerals, right? And so if you put these nutrient dense herbs in vinegar and let it sit for 4 weeks, strain it out. I take this every single day. I take my mineral vinegar. And I think I gave that to you in the...
What you're putting in it. What are some examples of high...
Stinging nettles, dandelions, the whole plant, chickweed, oat straw. So that's the plant that oatmeal comes from. Raspberry leaf. Almost all herbs are going to have a ton of vitamins and minerals. And then the vinegar is going to pull it out. You can mix it with molasses. So I think I gave you some of that in your box, little mineral medley.
Yes.
Because the molasses has so many minerals in it too. But now you're getting a full profile of vitamins and minerals that are bioavailable. They're ready for your body to use. So when you're taking those, you're getting more out of them than you are out of a lot of those capsules from the grocery store. Now, there are some brands of multivitamins that do a lot better job. But for the most part, you're wasting your money. Yeah.
That's what I've heard before. All the multivitamins and everything, literally just pee or poop most of them out, and they don't do anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we're almost up to an hour, and I know Jason has to go eat dinner with his family here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Leslie, where can we find you? Tell us what you've got out there.
Okay.
So got a YouTube channel you started finally.
Yeah, I finally started a YouTube channel. You can find me School of Earth and Awe, AWE. That's also my website, schooloferthandawe.com. I'm over on Patreon also, which is my subscription site where I do a lot of extra education. You can join for $5 a month at the lowest or go up from there, but you'll get recipes and video classes and tutorials and things like that. That's patreon.com/School of Earth and Awe. Also on Instagram and Facebook at School of Earth and Awe.
Let me tell you, just subscribing to her newsletter I mean, if you don't do anything else, there's so much information packed into each one of her newsletters, and she always has like a recipe or some kind of tincture to make or something like that. This month the recipe is wassail, and I can't wait to try this. Like it just looks like it's going to be amazing. So at least go subscribe to her newsletter at the very least. But she has all kinds of stuff. She lets you know what she's foraging for and all of that kind of thing. You'll definitely want to check her out. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to herbal anything.
Thank you, Shelley.
All right, guys, we appreciate y'all. Leslie, thanks so much for coming on here. It was a pleasure. We always learn something. I was making notes pretty much the whole time.
Right now,
I love it.
I'm scratching notes and everything.
Thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, guys, go check her YouTube channel out and the Patreon. Subscribe to the newsletter, and we will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.